Gentlemen, Monroe Mann here, YouTube #1 live streamer with YouTube #1 live stream guest, Jean-Marc Berne, back again. So we got
Hey,
one
everyone.
person
Thanks
here
for
who's
having
waiting.
me.
And it's always a pleasure. I can't believe that it's been nearly 6 months since,
Yeah, I think it's been over 6 months.
which is bonkers. What's up, ad creator? I see you there. How could you not have clicked like? You've been waiting here for 5 minutes before we come in. Then I come in and you didn't even click like yet. Uh, you said if I show up on 5 lives, I can have admin. Not trying to be annoying. No one's an admin on here. There are moderators. How you doing, Rabbit? Tensai, great to see you both. This is Jean-Marc Berne. He's a friend of mine and former colleague in show business. I'm representing the East Coast right now in Florida, and he is representing the West Coast in California.
That's right.
Where are you now? What where, are you in your home?
I am in my home, yes.
Where is that? Give us a specific longitude and latitude so we can all come and visit you when we need some comforting.
Yeah, I don't know the longitude, but I'm in LA and happy to be here. And thanks for having me, Monroe. It's always great to speak with you and also to tell you a little bit about what I've been up to the past 6 months. And one of the things that I love to talk about is about the heart voice connection. And Rabbit,
Yes.
I'm doing well. Thank you.
I what do you mean by heart voice connect? For those of you who don't know, Jean-Marc is an actor. He focuses primarily on voiceover work. He does a lot of other stuff as well, but lately his claim to fame has been. By the way, that television show on Hulu, it's called Claim to Fame, and I thought it was going to be the stupidest TV show ever, but it's actually a really fascinating game show, reality show where there are 12 contestants and all of them are anonymous. We don't know anything about them, and none of them are famous, but they all have a very famous celebrity relative, like father, brother, sister, niece, nephew, or whatever. And anyway, anytime I hear claim to fame now, I think of this TV show. But your claim to fame, among many others, is voiceovers, and you do a lot of voiceover acting and audiobooks, and apparently this mind voice connection has something to do with voiceover. You learned this through voiceover work.
Yeah, so it's actually the heart voice connection. And one of the things that I talk about through my voiceover coaching is that our heart is our emotional center. So, in order for us to be connected when we are performing, we need to connect to our hearts, and that is reflected in our voices. So, one of the things that I talk about is that we're not voices in a vacuum. In order to give life to what it is that we're reading, we need to connect to our emotional center. So that's why I talk about the heart voice connection. How do you infuse whatever it is that you talk about with real emotion?
So it's not your literal heart. It's more like the when you say, "Hey, you need heart in order to succeed in life."
Actually, Monroe, it is a literal heart. So I'll show you something right now.
Okay.
Put your hand on your heart.
Okay. Can everybody else do this as they're watching?
Yeah. So if you feel your own heartbeat, so just take a deep breath and feel your own heartbeat. There's no way for you to be able to scream at somebody else when you're feeling your own heart without hurting yourself. There's a good reason for that. This is your emotional center. So the more connected you are with your own heart, the more conscious you are of other people's hearts, and the more present you become, and the better
So
performer you become because you're connected emotionally and you're present.
can I use this as a YouTube live streamer or a musician performing on YouTube live, or is it strictly for doing voiceover work?
It's for any work that involves using your emotions. So if you're a public speaker, connect to your heart. That's one of the ways that you connect to your heart right away. If you're too much in your head and you're thinking too much, oh, you're worried, you're getting nervous, connect to your heart. Take a deep breath, connect to your heart.
Rabbit Gamer, don't feel bad. I don't feel my heart beating either. I'm trying. I think I might be a vampire or a zombie. What do I do, Jean-Marc? Rabbit Gamer and I cannot feel our hearts beating. What's the problem?
So you're either vampires or I don't know. Maybe you need to go check yourself, go run to the doctor because you need to be able to feel your own heartbeat.
Okay, guys, I'll see you later. Let me just catch up on some of these comments. Robert Gamer says, "Who is this?" So this, as I said, this is Jean-Marc Berne. He's a friend of mine. He lives in Los Angeles. He's a voiceover actor, and we're going to hear he won the Earphone Award recently, and I'm really excited to hear about how he got nominated, how he won it, what he won it for. But we'll come back to that in a little bit. Stick around; you'll hear his exciting story. And he's in his beautiful Los Angeles home with a fancy backyard. Fancy backyard, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thank you, Hong Kong Sports. I see the guy with the huge glasses sounds smart. Thank you for that.
Robert Gamer says, "You fellas want to talk politics? Maybe we'll talk about what's going on, but primarily, Jean-Marc wanted to talk about voiceovers and heart voice and stuff. But maybe we can talk about what's going on in the world."
Well, well, one of the things that you touched on was the Earphones Award, and how is the heart voice connection related to winning the Earphones Award? Well, first off, the Earphones Award, for those of you who are not familiar with the Earphones Award, it's like the Emmys for the audiobook world. And so last year, I narrated House of Bone and Rain by Gavino Iglesias. And when I finished recording it, I felt like I had done my best work ever. And that's the feeling I left with when I was done with the work. And then I went off to Europe for 2 months, and I received the notice that, hey, congratulations on winning the Earphones Award. And I was like, I opened it up and I was like, oh man, this is
and there was a check
fascinating.
for $40 billion.
I wish. Actually, where's my check?
It's coming. From what I understand, it was delayed in the mail by 1 week. So who create first of all? So first of all, congratulations on the Earphone Award.
Thank you.
Who is the? I know there's the Oscars for movies. There's the Grammys for music. Who creates the Earphone Award? Is it like the Earphone Award Foundation, just like the Oscar Foundation or something?
That's a great question. So you have Audiophile magazine. They publish the Earphones Award every year, and they nominate several people throughout the year for their narrations for different audiobooks. And so every year they have several nominations, and I happen to be one of them.
Very cool. So let me ask you: when you do an audiobook, do you read in just one voice, or do you use different character voices like for different characters and things like that?
Oh, all different voices. So the book that I had the most voices that I had to, not the characters that I had to voice was maybe around 50 plus characters that I had to do. And
How do you keep track of all of those characters? That's a lot of different voices and whatnot. What's your strategy for that? Do you do each character one at a time, and then you go back, or you do it all at one time?
all in one shot. So the way that you go through a book before you narrate the book, you have to study the book. So now we have technology. Like before, it used to be that you had to highlight the actual pages of a book in order to differentiate each one of the characters. Now you can use a PDF and you highlight with different colors each one of the characters, and you designate certain voice placements for each one of the characters depending on their height, their region in the world, and also their attitudes, how they
I
present themselves.
I know I don't want to put you on the spot, but we got to hear some voices. Can you give us some examples of like maybe some different timbres or whatnot that you commonly use, or what might we hear when we listen to one of these audiobooks?
So you might hear the voice of one of the hitmen on what was it on the Devil Takes You Home. So I take on a grittier sound and more in my throat, so it's chest, and there's a dark feel to the way that this character speaks, and he also speaks a little more slowly.
Let me ask you this. I have a character, Rocco Tribbiani. He used to work for the mob in New York City. Can we do some improv where you use that hitman voice and I'll talk to you?
Sure, let's
All
go for
right,
it.
here we go. Ready and starting scene. What's the hitman's name?
Mario.
Mario. Hey, how you doing? My name's Rocco Tribbiani. I'm from New York. I used to be Mr. Toothbrush up in the family, and I may need some help, getting rid of somebody. And Mario, your name's Mario.
Yeah, you got it.
Tell me, what are the services that you offer? How much does it cost? And do I get a buy one get one free? Tell me about the deals you offer.
No deals. Just depending on what it is that you need, just give me some deets.
Well, I can't give the detail on YouTube Live, because that will, allow them to get away from us. We can just talk. We can talk about. We'll just say, I know a certain somebody, and he needs to go. He needs to go. How long does it take for him to go?
Well, it depends how much you're paying.
Money's no object here. And if you want to get paid in rockaroni pizzas too, you want to get paid in pineapple, maybe even a chicken palm. Can I pay you in chicken palm?
Hell no.
Okay, so how much you talking here? Maybe $25 per hit.
Uh, who's this bozo?
Hey, don't make me put on the Mr. Toothbrush hat. I will come over. You might be able to hit, man. I will come over there and brush your teeth. You want me to come over there and brush your teeth?
I know something else you can brush.
Hey, what's going on here? What's going on here? No hijacking the live stream, huh? Did you guys see that? He's insulting Rocco Tribbiani. Let me ask you this. Have you heard of the Tribbiani family from New York? Have you heard of them? Have you heard of us?
No.
Hey. So I'm starting to think maybe you're not a real hitman, because every hitman knows the Tribbiani family.
The cartel doesn't talk.
Oh,
I'm
oh,
proud.
oh, are you telling me? Are you telling me? Are you telling me that you're working for the cartel in Mexico? Is that the cartel you're working for?
I'm not saying anymore.
Oh, you're not going to say anymore. You know, I'm starting to think that I was starting to have a nice, interesting, man to man deal to see if we can do some business together. And now I'm asking for information, and you're saying mom's the word. Why is mom's the word? Why couldn't it be dad's the word? Why is it always mom? Why does mom get all that? You tell me this, Mario. Why is it mom's the word?
Mom's the word is our motto as Hitman.
Now that's good to know. But mom's the word. So are you telling me if I hire you, no one's gonna know?
That's what I'm saying.
I like this. I think we can do some good business together. Hey, I'll reach out to you. Via some public forums. Is that a good place to do it? Do we a public forum, or you want to do something private via maybe some encrypted messaging? You tell me. Which do you want to do? Or I'll meet you behind the barn on the East River.
I'll contact you.
Hey. Okay, I kind of like this guy. I'm not gonna lie. He's pretty good. He knows what he's doing. And scene. That was that. You know what's funny? I've done these characters on my YouTube for the last 6-7 months, and it's always just been me talking with the people in the chat. I've wanted to do an actual improv scene with somebody for, was it like 8 months, and we finally did an improv scene with my characters. And you know what's really cool? You seem like a completely different person. If you are not Jean-Marc Berne, and I love it. And I really felt, I'm like, who the heck am I talking to? Because it's just such a great. So I imagine I've got over 80 different voices that you use.
Oh, I've lost count. It depends on what the story gives you, the character, and they'll sometimes give you certain descriptors in the book. This guy's barrel chested. He's got a deep voice, or this guy's got a whiny voice. So it'll give you a certain idea of what to work with when you're putting together this character. And when I was coming up with a voice for this hitman, I went dark. I went deeper than my usual voice. And when I auditioned, that's what I gave them. But they told me, it's like, oh, this guy has gone through some really deep stuff. He's seen some stuff. We need him to be darker. It's like, all right. So I added more grit and more. It's like, all right, giving me more of a background. It's like I've seen some really horrible, horrible stuff.
It's beautiful. It's a really great Great stuff. Let's catch up with the chat and then we'll continue our chat. Athena says limbic system. Hong Kong says, hey, you guys. You did public speaking in the FFA. That's great. Oh, Athena's giving us lots of brain parts: limbic, cortex, hypothalamus, hippocampus, hippopotamus. That's great. Hong Kong says, if you crack those glasses, do you have to call Safe Light? That's a very good question. You know what? His glasses are connected to those meta things. So if they break, he just presses a button and it automatically goes Safe Light repair, Safe Light replace, and his glasses get fixed by AI. Wow, we got 49 people. See, the YouTube algorithm is super weird. Some days I got like 4 people, some days I got 49 people. This is great. You're pulling in the people, Jean-Marc.
All right, that's awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Rocco, let's ice this man. That's right, Rabbit. Yeah, Mario's got nothing on Rocco. What did you think of Rocco Tribbiani? He's a cool cat, isn't he?
He's cool. I see him like in a more of a comedic character.
Oh, he is 100% a comedic character. No, every one of my characters are comedic. I have Rocco Tribbiani. I have Kino Surf, this surfer dude. Billy Bob from Louisiana, a big Trump supporter. Conservative. I have Timothy Hilford, who likes to talk investments. He's from London. I have Jignesh from India. So I've got my own stable as well, but I do not have 60 to 70 voices. Now that's impressive. That makes me that makes me get a little nervous, thinking, how the heck do you keep track of it? It's hard for me to keep track of my 5 or 6 little guys.
Well, I have a suggestion. And so one of the things that I do is that I create an Excel spreadsheet, and the character, like the voice placement, and what are some other qualities. So it gives you different ideas of how to put together these different characters. It's like,
So you create a dossier for each one, basically.
in a way, yeah. Like I'll take notes in each book, and so this new book that I'm working on now, this guy is very upbeat. He's funny. He's rambunctious. He's got a big personality. So I got to match that. And the cool thing, he's a real person. So the publisher sent me some YouTube videos with a conversation between him and his best friend, and they're both the people are narrating this audiobook. So this is fun. This is a lot of fun. Well, the whole process is fun. But actually embodying this person and matching the energy of the way he speaks and some of his mannerisms and bringing that into the performance. That's part of why I live for this. I enjoy every second of it.
For those just joining, we got 63 people. This is Jean-Marc Berne over here. He's a friend of mine. He lives in Los Angeles. He is a actor, specifically a voice actor, and he makes a killing doing his audiobooks, not books that he's written, but he's the voice talent for these audiobooks that you find on audible.com and Amazon and all that stuff. And he recently won the Earphone Award, which is the audiophile magazine similar to the Oscars, but it's for audiobooks. And so he shared that for the first time on YouTube with us today. It was pretty exciting to hear that. We're amongst audiobook royalty right now, ladies and gentlemen. Jean-Marc Berne. I have a question for you.
Sure.
Obviously, in these books, there are female characters.
Yes.
Do you make voices for females as well?
Yes.
Can you give an example of what a female type of voice sounds like?
Well, what happens with audiobooks is that the voices are more suggestive. So let's say I'm voicing a male character and then we switch to a female character. Then my voice may become a little more high pitched, and all of a sudden I am performing as a female.
Interesting. So you don't have to, in the audiobook world, you do not have to make a convincing, realistic sound of a female. You have to make it more suggestive.
Yes. So yes and no. Sometimes you can, but if you can, it's like an approximation just to make this character distinct. This is a woman. Mm-hmm. Then that's yes, it's more suggestive. Like for example, same thing with an audiobook world. How do you consume the audiobooks, usually you have earphones on, so you cannot scream if it says, "Oh, this person is screaming right now." You can't scream into a person's ear, so it's more like ah. So it's more of a suggestive that this person is screaming.
Interesting. So in some ways, you have to become the. When you read a book, when I read a book, I've got a novel here that I got. When I'm reading that, in my mind, I hear the voices, and but it's very subtle because it allows me to keep reading the book. So if tell me if I'm wrong. Seems like you as a voice actor on audiobooks, your job is not to do these incredible performances that allow people to remember that they're listening to some voice actor. Your job is to make it so seamless that they just feel like it's their mind's eye speaking to them. Is
That's
that
a great way
correct?
to put it. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, because you're taking the audience on a journey. So you want to make them feel that they're immersed in the book. So there's one of the big distinctions that I like to make between, well, there's commercial voiceovers and audiobooks. With commercials, they're like, hey, it's Monroe. And then here I'm representing a Nike, whatever.
Like
And
like
then,
Rocco Tribbiani, for example.
yeah, like Rocco Tribbiani, he's big. He's like, he would be in an animation. uh, where in the audiobook world it's more immersive, so you are listening on your headphones, and you are not calling attention to yourself, especially as the narrator. You're telling the story. It's almost like you are with binoculars, and this is what is happening at this moment. He
Hmm.
grabs his cup of water and he takes a sip.
Hmm. I got
So
chill.
it's like,
I got chills just hearing you say that. That's how good you are. That's why you got the earphone award, because you just said he grabbed the cup of water and he took a sip, and I'm excited. I want to read the next page.
well, thank you.
And
That's the
that's the
the
idea.
Yeah, that's the idea. And yes, Rabbit Gamer, I'm a voice actor for audiobooks, and for any type of voiceovers. I've done a lot of video games as well, documentaries, commercials, e-learning, different apps.
Let me see if there are any other comments here. So, Rabbit Gamer, good job that you're working on writing a book. I think everybody should copy Robert. I've written 11 books, one of them which was a Barnes& and Noble #1 bestseller in careers called Guerrilla Networking. I wrote that with J. Conrad Levinson. And the books that I have written have opened up so many doors. And some of you might be thinking, well, I can't write a book. I can, what am I talking? Every single one of you watching has a unique perspective on life. No one has lived your life. And just for example, someone who grew up on a farm in Kansas thinks their life on the farm is boring. Well, to someone who grew up in a city in New York City, reading a book about someone's life on a farm, super fascinating. So always remember, there is a book in each one of you. So anyway, I just wanted to say, Rabbit Gamer, I think that's a wonderful thing that you're doing. And let's see, meth. Someone likes methamphetamine. I'm very sorry for you that you're addicted to that. That's unfortunate. And let's see, we've got la 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 111 saying great analogy. And Rabbit Gamer is talking about me. This is Monroe Mann. He was a soldier, a doctor, and a philosopher. Well, once a soldier, always a soldier. I am a doctor of philosophy. I have a PhD in psychology. I'm not a medical doctor, though I'm in pre med. Whether I actually become a doctor, I don't know, because physics one is killing me. And not, I was talking about that. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. We're going to talk about the moon. With in his one of his prior careers, Jean-Marc was I think an elementary school or middle school science teacher. So we're going to learn about the moon from Jean-Marc, and he has to say it. He has to talk in one of his voices, like the science professor voice. So
Oh
we'll give him.
boy.
Um, Jean is it's Jean-Marc. His name is not Jean. It's Jean-Marc with the dash. And let's see. Taxes are gay. I agree. Taxes are annoying. I agree that's true for everything. And Randy says a man can never be a woman. So I tend to agree with that. And a woman can never be a man. So Randy Weaver. Uh, and Jack the Beanstalk says something a little bit inappropriate for the chat, which we will not be repeating. So, what was the question that I was going to talk about? Oh, the moon. Yeah, guys. All right. So the other day, I was outside the apartment and I was looking up. It was 4 o'clock. Jean-Marc gives me a call, and I'm just sitting down in the chaise lounge. I'm looking up. It's 4 o'clock. The sun is still out, and the blue sky is there, and I can see the moon. And it's not the full moon; it's like 3/4 moon. But we were just talking about that, and I found it fascinating. And Jean-Marc tried to explain it to me about 3 different spheres. And of course, there's the moon, there's the sun, the earth, and the moon. And the earth blocks the sun. So that's why you can see only part of the moon. That's only part of it is lit up. But it blows my mind that you can see it during the day while the sun is still up.
Yeah. So
Can you explain this to us, Jean-Marc, Professor?
Sure. So the way things work, let's say this is the sun, and here's the sun, here's the earth, here's the moon. So you have the sun, and the way that the sun hits the moon, so the earth, you will see it at a certain angle in the sky, but you are all the way down here, and we are in the earth, we are in a sphere as well. So the way that the sun's rays are hitting the earth, it's not, how would I put it? It's blocking. It's not. It's covering part of the moon because it's a sphere. So let's say that this is the top of the earth, and that part is covering part of the moon, and that's why you have some of the sun rays, some of that sunlight is hitting the moon. So you're only partially seeing the moon, and because of its spherical shape, you're not seeing the full moon while you are seeing the full sun.
Mm-hmm. It's fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff. Professor Oak says, "Is this true?" Generally, it's true. I know that during the day, during the night, when you only see when you see half of the moon, it's because half of the Earth is covering the sun's rays. Because the moon is. I know that the moon does not give off light. You cannot say the moon is bright tonight. No, the moon is just reflecting the sun more clearly tonight than it normally is. But yesterday or the other day it was when Jean-Marc, it was Friday, it just blew my mind. Like I'm looking up, the sky is blue and I see the moon. And so I understand it a little bit better based on the explanation, Jean-Marc. I think you were right. Jean-Marc said I can show it to you if I have 3 spheres. And it's hard to do it when you've got just your hand and air spheres. But
Yeah,
I
if
think
I
all of
had a
us could.
board, I would be drawing on the board. Here's the sun, here's the earth, here's the moon, and there would be different sizes and hitting at the different angles, and I would move the moon so that you can see how at different angles you will see why at certain times of the month, of the day, and the way that the sun is hitting the earth, you will see the different shape of the moon.
I think it's fascinating. It's just crazy stuff. This universe stuff. And then what's crazy too is that the universe has an age. The universe has an age. This was not always here, Jean-Marc. What is it, something like 13 billion years old or something like that, or 17 or something like it's not. It's old. I mean, 13 billion years is a long time.
Well,
But
here's the interesting thing, and this is one of the fascinating things for me about science. We keep discovering new things because we have new technology. We discover new things. We've gone deeper into space and we've never been before. We've actually gotten people in Mars, so it's like gotten technology in Mars and in different planets, and we found out that Pluto is not actually a planet. So
I dispute that. In my mind, Pluto is always a planet. It will always be a planet. They taught us 9 planets, and now they're messing everything up and saying Pluto is. What is Pluto then if it's not a planet?
it is. Well, that is a good question. So that's what there's the discussion about what actually is it? Is it only a satellite? What is it? So that's been debated.
Man, it's
Just
what do you think about us going to Mars? Do you think that Elon Musk is correct that it'll happen in our lifetimes?
Well, I mean, going to Mars as like visiting Mars, possibly. Who knows? Possibly. I can't discard that. I mean, we already have robots that are roaming the surface of Mars, so yeah, could be possible.
Would you go to Mars? Like I personally have zero interest in getting on a spaceship and going to Mars. I don't want to go to the moon. I mean, none of that is of any interest to me. Is that something some people think it's really cool? Do you think it's like it's a cool thing that you like to go on a vacation, a 1 week vacation to the moon or to Mars?
Well, I mean, it sounds cool. I think it's an amazing thing. Travel, whether it's traveling within the Earth or going outside. I've never been outside the Earth, but I think it would be an awesome thing to be actually able to experience that.
I think going to Paris, France, is far more fascinating than going to a planet where you can't breathe, there's no water. You're very, very far from home. Let me. I wish I was going to do a poll, but I can't do polls when I have a guest, which is really annoying. So, what about you guys in the chat? Do any of you actually want to go to Mars? If you could go to, let's say it doesn't matter how much it costs. It's the same price as going to Paris, $500. Of course, you're going coach to Mars. I don't. But if you go coach to Mars, that's going to be pretty uncomfortable because that's a long journey. That's like 6 hours, and you're in economy class. I
Well, yeah, I've done it to Paris, so
Yeah, but Paris is different. It's only 6 hours. I mean, you got
well
to go
for
see.
you, for me
Oh,
it's
that's
11.
true. That's 9 hours for you, right?
No, more like 11.
From Los Angeles to Paris is 11 hours.
Yeah, it takes me 5 hours to get to New York and another six
Finally,
to
there's
get there.
something negative besides the pollution and taxes about California.
Ah.
It takes you a long time to go to Paris. Professor Oak says Mars is a one-way ticket. It very well may be true. Rabbit Gamer wants to go to Mars. And Professor Oak says there's a planet X past Pluto, but it's only theorized. Interesting. Professor Oak apparently knows a lot. And LAV says 13 billion is the new 5 billion. Is that sort of like 50 is the new 30 or something? If so, in 3 years, I'll find out.
I know, right?
I'll be the big 30. I'll be the, look at that. I said the big 30 because 50 is the new 30. So, yes, in 3 years, I am going to be 30 years old. And Crit Blue shared a very lovely random thought. I love white women. Good for you. Good for you. Isn't that
Okay.
great? Professor Oak says, is this true? The Earth is a sphere. Last I checked, there is a horizon that diminishes when you look off the ocean. And ships do sort of fade away down, and all you see is their mast. So any of the any I'll tell you this, any of you who are flat earthers, what do you think of flat earthers, Jean-Marc?
Um, well, they really need to check on their science. I mean, if they do the different how would I say the experiments themselves, they will find that this is actually law, that it's not a theory.
Mm-hmm.
And ask any astronaut who's been outside of the Earth. In
There are
fact,
still people that think that the moon landing was staged, and I think like, you know what somebody made a very good point about that is it's easy to say that today with AI and digital video and this and that. You know how hard it would have been for them to have staged that moon landing footage back in 1969 and make it look and like he's really bounced. I mean, it was if it's fake, it's pretty impressive.
yeah, because I mean, you can look at different. I mean, look at the evolution of film. I mean, look at the Star Wars films now versus the ones that came out in 1977. It's like the technology has evolved so much that you can see the differences in like the characters that and the computer technology that they're able to use now. In 1969, they didn't have that kind of technology that we're able to use now.
You know what?
So
Think about that. Think about in Star Wars. Star Wars came out the year I was born, 1977.
Oh,
And it was like 3 or 4
cool
years.
year. The cool peoples.
Are you 1977?
Me too.
That's right. 77.
Yes.
Anyone on the live stream who is not 1977, you can stay, but you're not as cool as me and Jean-Marc. I'm just letting you know. Just letting you know. I mean, it took years between Star Wars because it was so hard to make those films. And now it seems on all these streaming platforms, they release every week. There's a brand new episode that's an hour and 10 minutes long, and it is itself is better than any of those original 3 Star Wars films. And it's just like, oh my gosh, how quickly they can make these sci-fi films like this. And you see these sci-fi films on Netflix and on Apple TV Plus and Hulu and Amazon Prime. They are just dishing them out. These independent filmmakers are making, and I'm like, how the heck are these indie filmmakers making these incredibly advanced sci-fi films with no-name actors? Clearly, it's low budget, and yet it looks really good.
Yeah. It's a advancement in technology and in its availability. It's really amazing what you can do. I mean, the same thing you can say about the voice work. We didn't used to be able to do voiceover work from home, and yet here we are. Like, and the cool thing about the voiceover work is that we were way ahead of the game before any part of the industry, because we were recording at home a lot of our auditions before even before the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, we were ready because we were already doing, or I would say,
The voiceover actors were ahead of the curve, because I remember voiceover actors who had their home studios back in the mid 2000s, like 2000, not mid 2000s, mid 2010s, like 2010, 2012, 2015. Whereas other actors had no idea how to use. That's the interesting thing. The voice actors were all pretty decent with technology. The regular actors had no idea what to do. They couldn't keep up with anything. And so that makes a lot of sense. Guys, thank you for, please click like. When we get to 10 likes, we'll get the bronze medal on the YouTube live stream Olympics. I know we're going to get there. Just double tap the screen and you can give us 3 more likes and we will get there. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. I'm almost at 5,600 subs. I'm really excited. I hope you can get there. We can get there together. It's a team effort. You, me, Jean-Marc, we're all working together to make this channel a big success. You may have the Earphone Awards, but I'm going to get the bronze medal on the YouTube live stream Olympics in the next 5 minutes. I'm certain. I am certain.
We're
Yes,
almost there.
we are
got 7
almost
likes
there.
already.
Let me see more comments. Professor Oak says we can't even land a plane safely in the U.S., let alone land on Mars.
He makes a good point.
It's a really, really good point. Hey, what's up, Angel? How are you? It says it's not far where I live. What's not far, Paris or Mars? I'm assuming you don't live near Mars, Angel. I think you live in Germany somewhere. So I think you're talking about Paris. Yeah, for you, it's a very quick train ride.
Hey, Monroe, we got 8 likes now.
8 likes. We need 2 more, guys. 2 more. And we all.
2 more.
It's not just me getting the bronze medal. Jean-Marc gets it, and every one of you get to say, you get to go home saying, go, Mom, I got the bronze medal on the YouTube live stream Olympics. And they're saying, are you serious, son? You did it. 9 likes. We are almost at 10. Thanks for subscribing. Turn on the bell for all notifications. I do comedy, music, improv, special guests such as Jean-Marc, current events, politics, motivation, inspiration, psychology, law. It's a smorgasbord of awesomeness. Lala is 30 years old. Yeah, she goes, oh, I'm 30 years old then. That's right. I'm 30 years old. Oh, Jean-Marc, you're almost about to be 30 years old, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Robert Gamer keeps saying, what is the peanut butter shot and does it hurt? What the heck is he talking about? I've never heard of the peanut butter shot.
Do we want to know? I don't know.
And that's a good question. Do we even want to know what the heck he's talking about? Occupy wants to send MAGA to Mars. Well, I'm MAGA. I'm sorry. If you send MAGA to Mars, then I don't think they have live streaming from Mars yet. That's the other thing too. Can you think about this? Live streaming has only existed, I think, less than 10 years. I mean, Netflix used to be, up until a very short time ago, DVDs that they sent via the mail.
Oh, I remember. I received them.
And look at this. You and I are having a video conference call live with 48 people watching around the world. And you're at your house, I'm at my house, all of you guys are at your house. That is mind-blowing. I went to the pharmacist today to pick up some medication for my mom, and one of the pharmacists, I don't know, we were just talking about this and that. Next thing she goes, I hope I'm not alive in 5 years. And I said, why? She said, do you know, look how AI has already in less than a year just taken over our lives. Can you imagine in 5 years what our world is going to be like? When do you use AI as a voiceover actor? What do you think about AI, Jean-Marc?
Ooh, that's a great question. So AI, it has its place, and it's meant to be a tool to help us do our work. Now, there's a fine line between having AI be used as a tool to help us do our work better and more efficiently, and having AI replace us as humans. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's it. That's a big debate that we're having today as actors, as voice actors, where you have certain companies building stock voices, where let's say they'll use my voice and they can use my timbre to recreate all of these things using AI. Now, my big thing is that it dehumanizes the process. Like there's one thing to be said. Okay, if you are a factory and you're putting together a product, and this machine is going to be more efficient than an actual human in order to put this product together, then by all means use a machine. But when you dehumanize a process where you have a process that involves using emotions to connect to whatever it is that you are reading to make people feel, then that's when you dehumanize a process. That's how I define it, dehumanizing the process. And when you have things like acting, music, and voice acting, and public speaking, if you dehumanize the process, then we're taking the heart, the emotions, the real emotions from the process, and we disconnect as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my big thing with it. So and the other part of it is, if they're going to use our voices, we need to be compensated, and that's one of the things that the actors union is making sure that we get as actors and voice actors, that we get compensated for the use of our voices.
Have you I can understand, uh, by and large. I know you're well known in Los Angeles and the voiceover world and this that, but you're not Tom Cruise, nor am I.
You know.
And the voice of Tom Cruise is so unique. How I'm concerned, and I'm a lawyer too. And AI is doing an amazing job. You just upload a contract, it can analyze it, and it often doesn't miss. It certainly is not just it's just as bad as an attorney, and that sometimes it misses things. You can't trust AI, you can't trust your attorney. You always gotta cross your T's and dot your I's. But I mean, you listen to ChatGPT, the voice mode, or Grok, the voice mode, it sounds like a human. It sounds very convincing. What's preventing like Rockstar Games from just using AI to create all these different voice characters and avoiding having to pay an actor? Or do the players like the fact that there are real people who make the voices? Is that something about that heart connection, the humanistic aspect, that I don't want to play a video game where it's a computer? Every a computer is this. It's the same computer with every single character. Whereas this, like, no, it's Jean-Marc Berne, and he's in this video, and or he's the guy that did this book. I can't wait for him to do this book. Am I making some sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, for example, you have like the Batman games, and you have let's say Mark Hamill doing the voice of the Joker. And it's like that is so cool that, like, for me as a gamer to have someone like Mark Hamill be voicing the Joker on the game that I'm playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And no, there's no way that I can have an AI software be able to replace a Mark Hamill and the amazing character that.
But let me. That's what I'm saying is like when the voice is so recognized. Maybe your voice is. I'm sure you have your stable of fans. Just like, and let's start with an unknown voice actor, someone who's not you, has no track record, no agent, doesn't have any audiobooks. How can somebody, a human voice actor, get ahead and create a career as a voiceover actor when I think AI, if it already, it will in the next 3 to 6 or 9 months be able to create multiple different characters that do have ranges of emotion. Like, what is the union, and what are like? Are you concerned about that or not at all?
Well, uh, there's some degree of concern, but how do I put this? If I were to lose myself in the concern about all how the industry is evolving, then I might as well call it quits.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there's a degree of concern where I need to be thinking, okay, what's the next thing? How can I make some more inroads into different ways of me making money as a voice actor or as a performer in general? And like, what are the new technologies that are out there that are going to be benefiting me? How can I protect myself? I can be talking to people like you who are lawyers and also be up on the latest of what are some of the new laws that are uh, mm, being tested out there, and also how is the union protecting me, and so there's a lot of ways that you can mitigate some of that worry. Like the more knowledge that you have, the more in a way you can protect yourself, and also with the evolution of things, it's like you have to be flexible to a certain extent because changes are happening whether we like it or not. And so the question becomes, how do I evolve as the industry is also evolving? How do I make it so that I can have a career doing this and not lose myself in the process?
Mm-hmm.
How can I keep creating more opportunities?
Do you think right now one of the benefits I see of hiring a Jean-Marc Berne, a real human? I can't believe that we actually are saying this, like a real human. It's like,
Really?
right,
Yeah.
like what does the technology come to that we're living in a sci-fi movie now? If I wanted you to change the timbre of your voice, or say, well, no, can you do it a little bit darker? Can you do? I think you as a human have a much bigger range than AI does, at least for now. Do you think AI will ever be able to create a greater dynamic acting range than a human?
Well, I can't speak to that because I'm not a scientist. However, like even just seeing all the progress that has been made with technology, I can't say that it's not possible. However, at this point in time, I think that there's this need for connection, even through gaming, even through whatever it is that we're listening to. We're listening to a piece of music, we're listening to an audiobook, or even commercials on the radio. We want to connect as humans. We want to listen to real people. If you notice, like the announcers from the 1950s was like hello, welcome to blah blah blah. It's like this big voice, you need to be this big announcer. And it's like this is what we used to do like in 1952. But nowadays we want to hear real people. We want to hear our neighbor next door. We want to be able to relate. It's almost like, oh, this person is like me. I can have a conversation with this person. And that evokes a certain emotion. And as humans, we have that capacity to be able to connect emotionally.
I
And
think I think that's the big question. Will AI ever get to the point where it can connect emotionally? I have a PhD in psychology. I test ChatGPT as a therapist and getting advice. Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, I'm feeling down. I'm feeling this about it. It gives some logical advice in this and that, but I know it's not a person. And ChatGPT is better than a bad therapist. but a good therapist connects in a way that ChatGPT and AI, I don't think ever will be able to. Maybe I'm wrong, but right now, I mean, I talk to a psychologist at the Veterans Hospital. It's 10 times different for me to know that there's a real person who's experienced the same human experiment that I have than this AI that's just trying to approximate, because it does not know what it's like to be human. We could feed it as much data, it will never know what it's like to be human. And maybe that's also going back to voiceover and the heart voice connection, and why you need that human factor that you're talking about.
Oh, absolutely. It's like what I mentioned. So one of the things that I see, Rabbit Gamer. I haven't been to the Mojave Desert. I am from the Dominican Republic.
But he's
I,
got
w-
a
I w-
he's got a French name, Jean-Marc Berne. Very strange guy. Is that your
well, I can
stage
explain
name or is
that.
that your real name?
It is my real name, and I was born in the Dominican Republic. I'm first generation Dominican, and my parents are from Haiti, and that's why I speak English, Spanish, and French, and Haitian Creole.
But are you French though? Like your face is what? It looks more. Is it Hispanic or is it French or is it both?
All of the above. So I have on my father's side where like my whole name is French, and so my ancestors are French, mostly French on my father's side, with a bit of African mixed in. And on my mother's side, we're San Millan. So San Millan is all from Spain,
How do
and
you say that? Sambien?
San Millan.
San Millan.
Yeah.
That's a
So
part of Spain.
that is part of Spain. That's actually where the Spanish language was born, in San Millan de la Cogolla.
Uh-huh. So what's your native? Is your native language English or is it Spanish or is it French or some?
My I say my first language is Spanish, and I would say the second one that even though I learned French second, I actually manage English better than I manage French. But I speak English, Spanish, and French, and I do voiceover work in all three languages.
Fascinating. That means your accent in all of them are pretty good. Very nice to hear.
Yes, yes, and in fact, this last audiobook that I'm doing is in English, but with a French accent. So I have to be able to say names in French with like perfect French.
That's beautiful. Oh, breaking news. We hit 10 likes. We have the bronze medal on the YouTube live stream Olympics. This is big news, everybody. Woo! Put your hands in the air. By the way, my name is Monroe Mann. I'm joined by my guest, Jean-Marc Berne, over here, voiceover actor, former science teacher, moon lover.
Well, funny thing, I am a moon lover. Ever since I was a kid, my mother made fun of this. And in Spanish, the moon, we say luna. And for some odd reason, I was 3 years old and I would look up at the moon. I would say, Luna, Luna. I would always say it twice. So my mother would say, "Oh, my little lunatic."
Lunatic. Well, hey, you and I are both in show business, which means without a doubt we are lunatics.
Absolutely, and I'm
I'm
proud to be a
a
member of
card-carrying member of the Cuckoo Club. Let's catch up on the chat, and then I'm going to ask. What was the question? I was going to. I was going to ask you something. Well, we'll figure it out. Uh, K Dot's football is in the house. How are you doing? And let's see. Mathematics again is asking if I would consider playing my head like a bongo drum. And K Dots is saying, is that Will Smith from Walmart? You kind of look like you could be related to Will Smith.
You could be my cousin, right?
He could be, absolutely. K Dot says Monroe is doing good now. It's well, an adverb. Monroe is doing well now. Trenton was in his spaceship. Well, glad you got out. Thank you. I know you said like to spend solitary time in your spaceship. K Dot says 60 people in the stream. There were. Now we're at 28. Well, you know what? The what was it? 32 people that were unnecessary have left. The 28 really important people have stuck around, and we appreciate that. Gianna Forever. How are you, Gianna Forever? Great to see you. Thank you for subbing. Appreciate that. Thank you for joining. Angel is not talking about Paris, France, and she's not. Oh yeah, she's talking about Paris, France, not Mars. Okay. I'm glad we made that clear. Trenton says you are young. Are you a DR? I guess that means a Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic. So no, no, I am not. I am from there though.
He's a complicated man. He's a complicated man. That's
More
a
complex. I'm not too complicated.
but you're an actor. Come on. Anyone who's in show business is complicated. That's what gives you your emotional range.
That's where I like the word complexity, because complexity gives you this wide spectrum.
That-
Complicated involves like he's
yeah,
problematic.
you know what? Complex is internal. Complicated is, I think, external. Complex is like it's about the internal workings of your mind and what you're capable of. Complicated is how you interact with other people, right? You say he's complex because there's something that you're drawn to because of his mind and his character. But if he's very complicated, it's you're kind of pushed away. But some people are attracted to complicated people. I hear that. I hear that all the time. So
I'm, I'm attracted to complex people.
complex. Okay.
Yeah, when you think about it, when you're doing voice acting, you are very much in your inner world, because where do these characters come from? I mean, you're getting them from the page, but you're like getting them from all of your experience and what you've lived.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you're getting it from your noggin.
Well,
Do you
yes,
do you
yes,
rub your head like a genie and then
I,
the
I, I do. I like the way it feels. You know, the funny thing is, I could be sitting at a restaurant, and all of a sudden I get this, and I'm like, I don't even know this person, but I get that all the time. I'm like, okay, well, I take that as a compliment.
there is some every once in a while I'll shave my head and it'll be like a real buzz cut like military. It feels good to rub your hand over it. Like it does not feel good for me to go like this. It feels very weird. But if and it leaves my hair looking funky afterwards. But when it's
I can't
cut
relate.
short, it's like, oh, it feels so. What's that?
I can't relate.
I, half of my viewers would say I shouldn't be able to relate either because they note my receding. It's not receding too badly though. It's not terrible. It's
Well,
not
you can
great.
join my club.
I you know some I look pretty good when I'm bald. You know I got a good head.
Actually, you do. You
Right?
do, Monroe.
It's not bad. Not
No.
bad. Christian, he's a philosopher, so not a medical doctor. Thanks, Rabbit. K-Dot says Monroe and John are the best YouTubers. Who's John? I don't know who John is. About the Mojave Desert, you did that, and let me see. Yeah, Blue Jay. Yeah, I might. I don't know. We might get rid of Blue Jay completely. He's giving a lot of. You're doing a good job as a. Hey, I'm gonna get rid of Blue Jay because he's being really annoying. Put user in timeout for 24 hours. So I took care of him, Rabbit. You're not gonna have to worry about his negative comments. Walal says, "Do you acknowledge that I exist?" That's a very good philosophical question. So Walal is asking, do I acknowledge if he exists? Before we answer that, do you acknowledge that Walal exists? Does he exist? Or maybe that's AI talking to us. I've never met Walal. He's in the live streams every once in a while, but maybe he's not a real person. Maybe he's AI.
It's like, are you or are you not?
Yeah, I don't know. But
Maybe you.
I don't acknowledge if you exist, but I acknowledge that there is somebody named Walal or something named Walal writing in the live chat asking, do you acknowledge that I exist? Without a question mark, mind you, which really peeves me off because I am a grammatical purist. None of this sloppy stuff. You put a question mark at the end of your questions, Walal. Walal says, wait, Monroe, you have depression. How haven't you been on my channel for long enough? I suffer with depression, craziness, regret. That's why I'm such a motivational guy because I've been through what and I overcome it despite it. And so I'm very empathetic. People the best therapists are those that have been through it. And I find the best financial advisors are those who have been at the bottom. The ones that have always been in their lap of luxury in the lap they can't relate to people who are struggling financially. They don't know what it's like. So it's the same thing. If you're going through something terrible, there's one silver lining. You're going to be able to help somebody in the future. I don't know when it will be, but you're going to say, "Let me tell you a story." You think you're, you think you've gone through something terrible, right?
Oh yeah, got
Let's
story.
see, Cajun and Creole rapper gamers from Louisiana.
So I don't speak Cajun, but I do speak Haitian Creole.
1983 life. Good to see you again. How are you? Dookie Doggy. Hi, Monroe. I love your music. Thank you. I love your lovely compliments. Thank you for that. 1983. What chat are you reading? It's the same chat. I'm just very slow. I'm very slow. I like to. When I believe that when there's a special guest here, I should focus on the guest, not all the people that are just chatting fly by night. Maybe they're here, maybe they're not. Would you not agree? Angel says, I'm afraid of an AI robot. Angel, I agree. If they want to bring an AI robot to help to act as your caregiver or nurse, wait till version 3.0 at least. Or maybe version 3.0 is the version that takes over, or I don't know. But it is funny. I mean, the Tesla robots, have you been looking at those, Jean-Marc? Some of those videos where it's like an actual humanoid looking robot and it can cook for you, it can clean.
Oh, I haven't seen those. I'll have to check it out.
Watch on YouTube for the Tesla humanoid robot. It is scary. And you know what's weird too? Why are all AI robots, why are they making them to look like humans? Isn't that interesting? It's like we are trying to be like God and we're trying to make something that looks, why does it have to look like us? Why are we mimicking what God did? Why can't we make something and it always looks like a robot and we know it's a robot? I don't know. Is it, that's an interesting question. Would you agree? Like, why are we making them look like humans? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, there's something to be said about making a creation be relatable. It's like when when we create, I don't know, like a cake, or we make it in the shape of a flower, or it's like we create from what we've seen.
Oh my gosh, we make cakes in the shape of a flower. Or you know what? It's not. You're right. It's not. This is not a new thing that humans do.
No, it's almost like we see things and we create. And yes, maybe, like, for example, like, well, have we seen dragons? How do you explain that people have drawn dragons? Uh, we also have wild imaginations, and we can,
Mhm.
but we don't necessarily want
So
to.
you're telling me that dragons do not exist? Fire breathing flying dragons, because
I I haven't seen
that's gonna
them.
require a lot of restructuring of my brain if that is true.
That I know of in this planet. I
What about on Mars? Can you imagine if we went to Mars and there were dragons there?
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be, if there were dragons there, that might get me on a spaceship for 6 months because I'd like to go see a dragon.
Good
That
luck.
would,
Like, send me pictures.
yeah. Um, do you remember how we met? I know it was in New York City. Do you recall? Was it at AFTRA or
Was that
or
after?
Drama
I remember.
Bookshop or
I remember hearing about you through Dan Duckworth, who was my first voiceover coach,
Dan
and
Duckworth?
he
Yeah.
kept talking about you, like, Monroe Mann, you need to meet this guy, blah blah blah. And then when I finally met you, was it at AFTRA? Because back then it was just AFTRA.
Yeah, those were the good old days. I liked when AFTRA was a separate aid. It gave SAG some competition. Now it's just a monopoly.
Yeah, that's up for debate. But was it at AFTRA? It may have been at AFTRA, or at a
But
networking
if it was
event.
through Dan Duckworth, it may not have been through AFTRA.
Well, I
Do
heard
you remember
about
the
you
last time we met in person? Do you recall that? Like where we were in New York City?
at some networking event.
It was a networking event.
I mean, we had met at a networking event, and we did meet up in person in the city, in New York City. Specifically, where, I do not remember those details.
Was it when Rocco Tribbiani was hiring Mario for a hit?
Exactly. Now I
That's
remember.
when it
It's
was.
all illuminated.
I Now I remember. Halal says, "Do you think money would cure your depression. Money, I think, can always help. I'm dealing with a lot of stressful things right now. Caring for my mom, working on break diving, which is a massive code base, and I've got volunteers and I got coders that I'm juggling. I'm managing this YouTube channel. I'm managing the break diving YouTube channel. I'm working on 2 books. I am. I mean, that's. It's just. I am though. I'm on the verge, I think, of hiring my very first virtual assistant.
Nice.
And it took me the longest time. And this person, she was recommended to me by somebody who runs a virtual assistant agency, and she lives in Kenya. And
Okay.
so, uh, her rates are extremely low, $4 to $5 per hour. But in Kenya, that is a good amount of money. So it's not about exploitation. It's it's a win-win situation, and that this is why Upwork. I didn't find her through Upwork, but this is why people on Upwork hire people from India, hire people from Africa, Philippines, because it's a win-win. Anyway, she said she's been talking to me and pitching me. It's been like 4 or 5 months, and I've been so scared about delegation of some very important tasks in my life and this and that. And but I think, and she said, let's work together. Let's come up with a list of tasks that maybe. And so I came up with a list of tasks that a VA could do, and I narrowed it down to the top 10 tasks. And I think I'm going to talk with her and saying, which of these 10 tasks do you want to start with? And I'm excited because I've never had employees. I've only had I've had independent contractors working on films who worked for me, but it was a very short term thing, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and done. Or my volunteers at break diving, where some of them will come on for 6 months or a year or 2 years, but it's still very much, I can't tell them this is what needs to be done and it needs to be done by this date or you're fired. It's, hey, I know this is not your job. I hope you can help out when you can. Let's see if we can get this done over the next 2 weeks. This is the first time in my life, and I'm going to get your thoughts on this, Jean-Marc, that I'm actually going to essentially, it's not an employee in the legal sense, but it's somebody that I'm hiring to do a regular set of tasks uh, with regular set deadlines over with no finish date. If it works well, I told her, I said, I will just bring you on and just keep giving you more and more things to do. The more that you can help me make money, the more I will be able to give you more and more tasks. Jean-Marc, do you have employees, or have you ever worked with a virtual assistant, or do you have people that do things for you? And what's your experience? What are your thoughts on me getting a virtual assistant?
I think it's a wonderful thing, and congratulations.
Yeah.
Big step forward. I'm working towards having that, having a virtual assistant. I think it's a wonderful thing when once you're able to get to that point. And what I have done is I've had to, same thing as you had mentioned. Hired other people to do some contract work. Like, for example, I have my longtime friend. He's a sound designer that I've been working with for over 15 years now. That I produce all my demos, and he's the one who designs the sound for all the demos that I produce for my clients. So I hired him, but it's as an independent contractor. So he's not an employee. So I haven't really had employees in that way. Like, I've had different projects that I've had to hire other people, but again, as independent contractors, not as my employees.
It's a weird thing, and it's a strange evolution because it's a the thing is, it has to become, and then maybe this benefits some of you watching. It's a hard thing to delegate, but I've learned you should never delegate what you do better than anybody else. The only thing, oh, and that no one else can learn to do as well as you. If no one else can learn, like for example, Jean-Marc should not be delegating his voiceover work because that's why people hire him. But you have to make a list of what are the things that, and the key is it has to be things. and this is assuming that you just don't have random money just in a bank account that you can just blow. I'm doing this very methodically, and why I've waited so long is because I cannot just spend money just to make things more convenient. I'm an entrepreneur. I have to spend money that's going to actually make me more money. So I'm hiring her potentially at $4, $5, $6, $7 an hour. It doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a wasted expense if I do not make more than that per hour as a result of me hiring her to do things. And so all of the tasks that you can delegate, I'm making a list. Which of these are most likely to actually result in me making more money? For example, one of the things I'm thinking of having her do is I'm on Upwork now, and I'm starting to get a good reputation, and I'm starting to book more and more gigs on there. If I create templates that are written in my voice, and I know exactly how to, let me say, just copy and paste this part A, part B, part C, I could get her to apply to so many jobs for me. And then all I need to do is deliver the work.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's the type of thing I'm kind of gets me excited about, because right now on Upwork, you're limited to, you're either spending time making proposals or you're spending time working with clients. Well, if I can just spend more time working with clients and hiring somebody to do this, it's going to obviously increase the amount of money you make. You were
Of
going to say something.
Of course. I mean, it makes perfect sense. So, like in the same way, like right now, for every month that I put out new voiceover workshops, instead of having me be the one having to write everything and do all the copy, blah 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 blah, for each one of the workshops, if I can delegate that to somebody and while I'm doing other stuff, that will be a big, because it takes me time to put together those Eventbrites or whatever in order to promote, and also the promotion of,
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Do you do Eventbrite?
yes,
Have you created free events that get attendees?
yes,
Can we switch gears and talk about this for a second? Do you mind? It would help me, and
sure,
I think it would help a lot some of the people maybe watching as well.
sure,
So what I want to do is, with break diving, start. We have this global community. And by the way, I'd love you to join breakdiving. I think you'd love it. I think you'd get inspired. You'd find people to inspire. Anyway, and all of you watching, come to breakdiving.io. It's amazing global personal growth and networking and mentorship community. Anyway, I want to start holding events here in Miami, the Miami area, to get started. Eventually, expanding it so we have these breakdiving groups in every city, major city around the world. But I want to, I have a small group of about 30 people who I can invite, but I want to create and let people know in the general Miami area, hey, you can come attend this as well for free, such as a French group, a breakdiving French group, or a breakdiving. We're going to go on a hike together, a bike ride, or a hike, or go skydiving. Can I create an event? I've tried creating an event before. I made it free.
right.
I even paid $10 to promote it. Nobody signed up. So I don't know what I did wrong.
So part of it, so there's one thing to, it's one thing to create the event. So that's the
Mhm.
first step. Once you create it, you put all the copy and make sure that in whatever it is that you are putting in the copy in terms of describing the event, that you hit some of the pain points that people, what are some of the challenges that they're facing, like why should I join this group, why should I go to this event, what's it going to do for me.
But I don't think anybody saw it. I don't think anybody saw this event at all. I mean, I'm pretty good at writing copy and writing pitches that and doing that pain point thing. I don't think even with the promotion, I was shocked.
Well, let me ask you, do you also promote like on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram?
Um, we don't really have much of a presence on there, and
Okay, so
I guess my question is, did you create the event on Eventbrite, but then promote it through other channels, or were you?
yeah,
Aha.
yes,
Because I
so
was trying to find out how. I don't know. Like, I don't know people in Miami who want to practice Chinese. I don't know people in Miami who want to go skydiving. I know they exist. and I want to find those people through. I thought maybe through Eventbrite I could create the event, and then I paid $10 to promote it, but it didn't even get like any views. And I
So,
want to find new people. That's my biggest challenge as a marketer is how can I find new people for breakdiving without using the internet, like without using Google Ads or without talking to people on YouTube. Like, how can I find people locally right here in Miami? It's a big city. There are people who would like to go skydiving with a bunch of people. There are people who would love to practice their French with me. There were people who would love to just go to the beach together or go to the movies.
so
I don't know how to find them.
well, let me tell you, I pay $0 in advertising. But one of the things that I've created with I have my Facebook group, Power Up Your Voiceover Community Facebook group, which I invite everybody to join, and I have more than 560 members already, and I keep getting new people as I do these type of events, or every time that I give new workshops, I also have new people join. And I also have a following in LinkedIn, on Facebook. So I do promote. I create on Eventbrite, and then I promote on Facebook, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn.
Is there any? Do you have any thoughts on how I could create an Eventbrite and market it through Eventbrite, or market it in such a way that I don't? Because we don't have a big following on Instagram, on X. The whole reason is I created a separate social media community, and I didn't want to use the competition to basically promote us. It's very different from all those things, but it's it's when I was in the 1990s, late 1990s and early 2000s in New York City, I was the marketing king. When Backstage newspaper, show business newspaper, and I just took out these ads in the newspapers, and I just got massive business. Now things have changed so much, and I am a fish out of water, and it's frustrating me that I'm not able to do what I used to do 25 years ago, and that's why I'm talking to people like you who seem to have figured it out.
Yeah,
And
I think it's part of that, having the platform and then using these different social media avenues. And by the way, we're at 77 minutes, so I don't know if we need to.
yeah, we're gonna have to switch in about. By the way, we're leaving in about 3 minutes. We're gonna sign off. We're gonna take a 3 minute break, toilet break. Go do what you need to do. Break. Get a soda, and then Jean-Marc is gonna return. We're gonna do a members only interview. We're gonna follow up. As always, my silly joke is we're gonna find out if he wears boxers, briefs, or boxer briefs, or is he commando?
That's
And
how rumors get started, Monroe.
what's that?
That's how rumors get started.
Hey, am I wrong, or do you wear you're one of the four: boxers, briefs, boxer briefs, or commando? There are no other options.
Well, it depends on the time of day or night.
He goes, sometimes it's an oven mitt. Well,
it depends on the occasion.
but if you'd like to join and follow up and get a little bit more personal with Jean-Marc, it'll be a smaller group chat of maybe 3 or 4 or 5 people. You can join at youtube.com/Monroe Mann/join, JOIN. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'm really working hard to do this professionally on a more full-time basis. Tell your friends, turn on the bell, uh, subscribe to Jean-Marc's channel as well. What's the name of your channel? Do you have a name for it?
I believe it's just my name,
So
Jean-Marc.
So search for Jean-Marc Berne on YouTube. You could follow him. And last thing before we go, actually, you know what? We'll do this in the members only. For any of you who want to start a voiceover career, we're going to talk about in the members only a little bit about how someone who has no experience whatsoever, what if Jean-Marc had to start over today, how would he do that? How would he start off a career? And just give a few tips. And you can also ask me or Jean-Marc any other questions about the moon, about AI, about Mars, because we are the experts on YouTube on all 3 of those subjects. Would you agree, Jean-Marc?
If you say so.
Yes, absolutely. And I am YouTube's #1 live streamer, even though I only have 32 viewers, 25. Now we went down to 25. But This YouTube algorithm is the most schizophrenic business partner in the world. As I told you, like I did a stream last time with Billy Bob, and I had about 75 people watching for an hour and a half, and I got 9,000 views. Then I went back to getting like 300 to 400 views on a whole hour. What the heck's up with that? But good news right now, this is good. It fluctuates back and forth, and I just need to constantly remind myself, Monroe, you're gonna have these dry spells. This is a good lesson for life. I'll leave you with that, all of you. You're on your road to success. You're gonna feel moments of elation and feel like things are going well, and then you're gonna run into obstacles and think like, of course this is happening. This is. I knew it was too good to be true.
We got
My
13
advice.
likes.
What's that?
We got 13 likes.
13 likes, right? I mean that. Look, and we're back now. I brought Jean-Marc on. We were up to about 45 people watching it. I think we'll get about 2,000 to 3,000 views on this,
Awesome.
which will be fantastic. Which will be great. Jean-Marc, as always, guest gets final say, final word. Is there any bit of advice, or maybe you can also share your website or any way that you want people to get in touch with you and give us a little word of advice?
So you can find my website is bernmediaenterprises.com. It's Berne, Berne. And also you can get in touch with me and power up your voiceover community Facebook group. And a bit of advice is trust your instinct when you're performing, and connect with your heart as you are performing. It will never lead you astray.
I love that. I know I said last word, but I forgot that there are a few chat messages here, and I just want to go over them real quick. Glue Guy says, "Look at you, lovebirds." Thank you. Yep, Jean-Marc and I are lovebirds. We have been for many years. I love you, Jean-Marc. Do you love me?
I love you too.
Thank you very much. Tism says it's talking about the hiring of VAs in Philippines, India at lower prices. I disagree what he said, but I'll explain why. He said it's still exploitation. The reason it's so cheap over there has to do with a lack of humanitarian and safety regulation. You don't know what you're talking about. The type of work that these people are doing is virtual stuff on their computer from their home. So the safety regulations are basically controlled by themselves, and they're doing it from their home, and they are getting paid a rate that is equivalent to the rate that I would pay somebody in the United States. So it's not exploitation. When I went to China, I lived in China, I worked in China. I left a job getting paid $60,000 a year as an attorney, a public defender in New York, to go get paid about $16,000 a year teaching English in China. And everybody in the US thought I was crazy. But that $16,000 a year in China was actually, I lived better there than I lived here in the United States. But if you turn it into dollars, that's your mistake, Tism. You have to look at things in the local currency. And if you look at turn $4 into an hourly rate in equivalence to someone getting paid in Kenya, you'll find that it is extremely generous. So it's a win-win for both parties. It's a win-win for me. I can save money. It's a win for them. They get to work with an American company and are getting paid more than they would get paid in their local economy. Zoned Up says, weird question. Are these two dating? We are not. He's a good-looking guy. If I were gay, I would. I don't know if he finds me good-looking, but no, we are not dating. We are dating in the game of life, I should say. And Angel says, I remember the time lots of people riding bikes, throwing a newspaper at everyone's doors. Oh man, there was a video game named Paperboy. Do you remember that video game, Paperboy?
Oh yeah.
That was the best. I know what. I want to see if I can get that online. That was so fun to play Paperboy. That being said, I'll give you 30 seconds to make one final bit of last words.
Last words. Wow. May the voice be with you.
Jean-Marc Berne, ladies and gentlemen, voiceover artist, winner of the 2024 Earphone Award, or 2025 maybe, for 2024 for his incredible work on voiceovers for books. Thank you guys. My name is Monroe Mann, YouTube live streamer. We're going to take a 3-minute break, coming back right here to this same channel. but members only. So for all you guys who are members, come check us out. And for those who are not, here's your chance to become a member. Bye, guys. And I'll see you. Jean-Marc, click the second link in about 3 minutes.
Sounds good.
Take a break. Bye.